French knots are great for the centres of flowers, and they can be done and packed very tightly in clusters. For example, this is my stumpwork poppy, and you can see that I've packed some black ones in here and finished it off with some beads. So in the centre of my wheel I'm going to do some French knots, and I'm using a crewel needle, and I've got some amber coloured thread for a change. So that sort of resembles to me the centre of a flower a little bit. To do a French knot, bring up your thread where you want the knot to be, and then wrap around your needle. I'm going to do one twice to start with, and then form the knot almost on your needle, taking your needle down just next to where you came up and not through the same hole. So I've got my knot formed now on my needle. I'm holding the thread tight with my left hand and then pull through, and you get your knot. So let me do that again. Bring your needle up, around the needle twice, down next to where you came up, form the knot on the needle, keep the thread taut with your other hand and pull through. Now if you want your knot to be a little bit bigger, then you can do 3 wraps of the needle, and it just comes out that much bigger. If you want it to be a bit smaller, do one down here. You could even just do 1 wrap, just 1 wrap down next to where you came up, and take the thread through so it comes smaller. So the higher the number of wraps, the bigger the knot. If you want to do a centre of a flower and pack them all in, you really have to get them close and almost work them just next to each other, almost on top of each other, but not quite. So if I do another larger one just there, you'll see what I mean. Like that. Now if you're left-handed, then it's very similar. So take your needle, wrap around however many times you want with your right hand, take your needle down into the hole next to, keep the thread taut with your right hand and pull through. Like that. So again, twice. Now if you put the needle through the same hole by mistake, all that will happen is the knot will go straight through the fabric, so you'd need to start again. So I'm going to fill that area now. In fact, I'm going to do some larger knots in the centre and then some smaller knots here on the outside, maybe randomly. I'm not going to go right to the edge. And this wheel outside the centre here, I'm going to fill with other sorts of knots. So I'm going to come back and show you those shortly. One variation of French knots is called pistil stitch, or often long-armed French knots, and you can see that I've used these here on the poppy for the stamens. So you've got a long arm followed by a knot. I've finished my French knots in the centre. I've done some larger knots as a cluster in the middle, and some smaller ones on the outside. So I'm going to do some long-armed ones now, and they're very straightforward once you can do French knots. So come up where you want the line to start, and then make your knot on the needle. So if I do a 3 wrap one, so I've done 3 wraps. Now normally with a French knot you would take the needle down into the hole next to where you've come up, but with a long-armed one you simply take it further away. So decide where you want your knot and pull through. So you've got a line followed by a knot. So let me do another one. 3 wraps. You can do as many wraps as you like. Still keep the thread taut on the with your left hand, or your right hand if you're left-handed, and then you've got your line like that. So pistol stitch or long-armed French knots. There you go. I've done a few more, and I'm just going to do some shorter ones on top with 2 wraps so that you can see the effect, so you can work them on top of each other, different lengths. Very randomly. Like that. Maybe one more. So the next stitch we're going to do is a bullion knot.